Hi, welcome to DIYDiabetic.com. My name is Steve, and today I'm going to show you how to set up and use your continuous glucose monitoring system. The one I have is from Medtronic MiniMed, and it's used with my Medtronic MiniMed Veo insulin pump. Yours might be different. The process should be relatively the same, but of course the details will be different. There are three parts to your continuous glucose monitoring system, or CGMS for short. The first is your monitor. This is your monitor. It's got a little screen that will graph your blood sugar as it's going. You have a transmitter, which transmits the information to this bad boy. And finally, you have the sensor. And the sensor is the part that goes into your body. And the transmitter plugs into this. And this and this together are what communicates with this to tell you how your blood sugar is doing. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to prepare the sensor to be injected into your body. This is a little bit more tricky than the quick set, so I like to use what they call the sensorter, which is a terrible name, but is used to kind of cock and load this into your body. I think the pictures for this are actually really terrible in the manual, so I'd like to show you exactly how it works. If you see here, you've got this adhesive tape, which is what sticks the sensor to your body. You've got this little nub down here that plugs into the transmitter. And finally, you've got this thing up here, and this is just a handy handle, and it also helps you pull out the needle at the very end. So we also have the sensorter, which basically slides and loads into your body. And in order to use it, it's a bit confusing. You've got a hole and a groove, and it's not particularly clear what goes in where. So it's a bit hard to see, so you might have to take my word for it. But the part that goes into the transmitter ultimately goes into the hole, and then the handle goes into the groove. And when you do this, it's still not exactly tight, but it just naturally fits in there. And you want the tape, both pieces of tape, to be hanging on the other side, free and clear. Alright, so now we have the sensor put in the hole and with the handle in the groove. Now we just take, and we have the tape on this side. And now we're going to push down on the tape just slightly, put our thumb here, and keep our finger on this side to keep it in place. And we just slowly push down until we get to a point where we get a click. When we have that click, then we know everything's in place. We could actually technically let go and it would stay in place, but we're not going to do that yet. Now down here you have your safety. This is the part that's kind of like pulling the trigger, but for now we're going to turn it just half a turn, so that, or excuse me, a quarter of a turn, so that even if you pressed on it, it wouldn't push this forward. And now we're almost ready to go. Okay, before we go ahead and do the part where we put the needle into our body, we have to take this tape that's here, this is covering the adhesive, and we pull that off. Just slightly pull that off. And you should be holding on to this side as well, which I almost forgot. Hold on to this side, and just slowly pull off, and now the adhesive is uncovered. And we pull the sheath off the needle, and now the needle is exposed. And now we're really, again, at the point of no return. Now we're going to go ahead and insert this into the body. Okay, I'm going to insert this needle into my thigh. That's a typical site for a diabetic. So you've got these platforms on the end of the sensor, and you want those to be flush with your body, and that will make sure that the needle goes in at basically a 45-degree angle. Okay, so I'm going to switch hands, and I'm going to turn the white knob again at the end in order to turn off the safety. And that means that at any point, if I press this button on the white, then this will insert into my body. I'm going to do that on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That means we're in. Now you just slowly pull the sensorter away from your body in this direction. You want to make sure you do it in a clean pull while you're holding on to the handle. Like so. Next, all you have to do is you take this little tab, and this is covering the rest of the adhesive, and you slowly pull, and that covers the adhesive onto your body. That should feel kind of similar to your quick set. Now the last thing we do is we put our fingers on these plastic on the sides here, and we're going to pull on the handle in order to pull out the metal needle. Pulls out like so. There's the needle's out. Now basically the sensor is in, and we're almost done. Okay, so at this point the sensor is in, and the rules are you have to wait 5 minutes before you go on to the next step. This is just to make sure that there isn't any excessive bleeding. The needle's quite long and it could have caused some bleeding. It's okay if you do bleed a bit. If it does bleed, just wait a few minutes and see if it stops, basically. A little blood is okay. If it stops, if it clots, then you're doing alright. If the bleeding does not stop, however, after 5 minutes, you need to remove the sensor and start again in a new site. Alright, at this point it's been about 5 to 10 minutes, and as you can see there is a little tiny bit of bleeding, but it's stopped and it certainly hasn't spread out to the bandage or anything. So at this point I'm confident that I can go ahead and hook up the transmitter to the sensor. To do this, again you just put your fingers on the plastic just to give yourself a bit of a base, and you just kind of firmly but gently insert the plug into the hole. And I think you could probably hear that click. And now you'll see this green light come on, and that will flash for about 10 seconds. And that means that there's a connection between the transmitter and the sensor. And then we can go on to the next step. Okay. Alright, now this is ready to go, and we're going to hook it up to the sensor, to the monitor soon. But I just wanted to point out, as you can see, the transmitter itself isn't adhesive, so it just kind of flaps against the skin. Now this makes me really nervous because I'm a bit rough when it comes to like pulling my pants up and down, going on the tube or whatever it is. So I like to use an adhesive, a skin-friendly adhesive. I use this one, I don't even know who makes it, Smith & Nephew I guess, but it's basically just an adhesive that goes over this and protects it. You can use any sort of skin-friendly bandage tape, I'm sure. This is an optional step, but one that I find very useful. Right, as you can see, now it's a lot more secure, and that makes me very happy, and a lot more, with a lot more peace of mind. Alright, so now we have the sensor in our body, we have the transmitter plugged into the sensor, and now we just have to tell the monitor that we have a new sensor that's ready to go. So I'm going to press ACT, sensor, scroll down to sensor start, and then just press ACT on new sensor. It says new sensor, connect new sensor, then press ACT. Now we've already connected it, so now we just press ACT. It says sensor ready in 2 hours. Alert will sound when your meter blood sugar is required. So in 2 hours we're going to have to calibrate, and basically you'll just have to use your meter and do a blood test and either tell your monitor what it is, or if you have a fancy monitor then it will communicate automatically. Alright, well thank you very much for visiting DIYdiabetic.com, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.